Okay, the next section of the notes are when we talk about measures of center. So we've already done the first one, which is the median. And again, another word for center is just we're describing the middle of the data. So we have the median, which is directly in the middle from least to greatest. The next one is the number that appears the most. It's called the mode. So we can remember mode. So MO, MO, mode is for the most. So the number that appears the most in the first data set, if we go back up here, is 6. So that one actually appears twice. The next one we actually have 2. We have 12 and 14. So they both appear twice. We have 12 and 14. And the other one up here is 6 because it appears 3 times. Now if you have all of them appear only one time, then we actually say it does not have a mode because nothing appears more than once. Okay, the next one that measures the middle of the data is when we add them all up and divide by the number that we have, and this is called the mean. So if you go ahead and add up all of your data up top, so go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and plug that in a calculator. So for the first one, we ended up getting with a total of 58. So again, this is just the total. We added up everything. And we divide by the number we have. So we actually have 9. So we're going to plug in our calculator. We got 58 divided by 9. We are getting 6.4 repeating. So we say 6.4. So we look at our calculator. Whenever it's repeating, remember we don't just cut off a decimal. We always look at the number after it to see if we round up or round down. So 4 makes this 4 just stay the same. So we don't round up. So that's why it's 6.44. So go ahead and add up the next ones and then divide how many you have and see if you get the correct mean. So the second data set you should have got 12.75 and the next one you should get 6.14. So again, these three things are talking about the middle of the data. We got the median, the mode, and the mean. Okay, going on to the next two. It's called the spread. So spread is basically, it's kind of in the name, how much is the data spread out. So from the very smallest number to the biggest number, how much is the difference between those two numbers. So the very first one is the spread from the minimum to the maximum. This is the range. So if we look at the first data set, our biggest number is 12, and our smallest number is 2, so our range is 10. And then the next one, our maximum is 16, our minimum is 10, so our range is 6. And the last one, our maximum is 9, our minimum is 3, so our range is 6. So if you notice, both of these have the same range. They don't have the same numbers, but they both range by 6 data points. Now this one has the largest range because it's spread over more data. So this actually is going from 2 all the way to 12. Now the next one, this spread is actually only looking at the middle 50% of the data. So to look at the 50% of the data, we're actually going to use our quartiles. So this is actually called the interquartile range. So we have interquartile range. So for short, we call this the IQR. So the easiest way to remember what to do with the IQR is just listen to its name. It's interquartile range. So we use the quartiles. So we're going to use the Q3 minus the Q1. So we're saying Q3 minus Q1. So if you notice, both in the range and the interquartile range is always the biggest number minus the smallest number. We always want a positive difference between this. In data, we normally don't have negative numbers. So the first one we're going to say our Q3 was 8.5. Our Q1 was 4. So our interquartile range is 4.5. Our next one was Q3 was 14. Minus 11.5, so our interquartile range is 2.5. And our last one is 8 minus 5, so our interquartile range is 3. So if you ask which one has the smallest spread or which one is very close together, we would say this one because it has the smaller number. So these first two are talking about spread are the range and the IQR. In the next video, we're going to talk about the MAD, or the mean absolute deviation, which also talks about spread.